time has come, step into shadows, army of one. You got no savior, nowhere to run, but you're born to face it, and the war's begun. This gon' be madness, this gon' be madness, not taking no chances. This gon' be madness, walking through the ashes, I'm carrying matches. This gon' be madness, this gon' be madness. Woo! This gon' be madness. This gon' be madness. Let's get crazy, let's get crazy. Yeah, we like it. This gon' be madness. Let's get crazy, let's get crazy. Yeah, we like it. This gon' be madness. Bad thing, look into my eyes. Tell me what it is you see. I know it's been a mad day, living on the edge. The world is tearing at the seams. Yeah. Tell me, is it blood on my lips? Tell me, 'cause I know I can't quit. If I'm paying for these sins, I'm gonna need that holy water. Holy water.
How you doing, Dustin?
Hey, pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, good. Wow, look at you. Look at that compound. Look at that home studio. I love it.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's a cool spot. It's kind of like a big living room I built. It's about maybe 900 square feet total. It's a big space.
Great energy there. You could just tell the creativity flows. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. See, that
Yeah.
is see the audio portion of our audience is just gonna have to like see that this is where the magic happens, and when video people are gonna see why. I love it.
That's great, man.
That's great. Well, Dustin Burnett, Zayde Wlf, what a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much. And it's actually pronounced just Zayde Wulf.
Zayd, apologies. There
Yeah,
you
no
go.
problem, no problem.
You want me to call you Zayd or Dustin?
Either one you want, it's fine.
All
Whatever
right.
works for you. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, just to introduce you to our audience. So, I mean, you're a writer, producer. You're getting ready to release, the highly anticipated third album of yours, Neon Blood Type.
Yeah, that's right.
It's great stuff. I mean, you've been releasing some singles. We had a chance to preview some of them. I'm not sure which is better, honestly. They're all so addictive, Dustin. I mean, Holy Water may just be my early standout, but it's a toss-up, honestly.
Thanks, man. I think Holy Water is getting a lot of gravity right now. Like
Mhm.
people are I think I that song was like one of the more sincere songs that I wrote, and it sort of happened I had already closed off the album. I had sent everything
Oh,
in.
really?
We had already had the lineup, submitted the masters for vinyl, and the we had an opportunity to create a couple of extra songs as bonus tracks for Apple. And so I was like, well, I had a couple of ideas and I didn't like those. And so I was kind of sitting at the piano and I basically wrote Holy Water in like an hour and a half
Unbelievable.
on the,
Unbelievable how that happened.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I sent it over. I started working on the actual production part, building it up and everything. And I sent it over to my licensing team and PR crew and everybody. And they were like, hold up, this might be like possibly the best song. So we pulled back the masters and everything like that, and allowed me some more time to finish up the album. And then we kind of moved everything back like another 6 weeks from where our plan was, because the song kind of like
Yeah.
really seemed to hit.
So what's the feeling when that happens, Dustin? Because we talk to artists all the time about their songwriting process, and many of them, and here in Nashville, it's so academical, 9 to 5, you got to have the discipline, the whole thing. We see the whole thing. But when
Mhm.
something like that happens, that it just comes to you and you just like,
Mhm.
it's just like flowing through your body. Like
Right.
like, are you like in a state of trance? Like, what's that feeling like?
Maybe. Yeah, sometimes it kind of feels like that, where you're just like in a big time flow. The song and the lyric doesn't seem like it's really having a lot of resistance against you. And I feel like whenever you kind of get into that state as a writer, um, that's a really good place to be in, when it feels like you're like in a circle with the song, and you're kind of like working in this dance together instead of like really trying to push through it,
Amazing.
trying to force things to happen. And some good songs really happen from that sort of conflict as well. Like, so I would never discount that side of the work ethic either, of just pushing through and finishing a song, because a few of mine that have done well were those kinds of things. But I really love it when it feels like it just comes together, not without trying, but like everything you do, it feels like it's ready for that. Like the song is ready for the next part that you write. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Wow, that's so
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, we love talking about this kind of stuff here. And of course, Madness was your latest single, and we'll chat about it in a second. The video was just released with Jordan
Hmm.
Sutherland, great basketball player.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
There's a video of him dunking over his mother, like, but that's a whole different story.
That was
Yeah,
so good.
unbelievable. This I don't understand these people, but anyway. So Dustin, where are you coming to us from, by the way?
Yeah, I'm in Nashville.
You're in. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful day in
Yeah.
Nashville.
It
Yeah.
sure is. It sure is. I'm from Illinois originally. I'm from the
Uh-huh.
southern part of Illinois. Like I grew up out in the country, very rural area. The closest town to us was a few miles away, and it was 5,000 people or so. So it's very
Gotcha.
small. And then when I met my wife, we moved to Kentucky for a few
Mm,
years, and then we've been here I think 12 years now. So I've
yeah.
I've been here in Nashville during this whole boom of everyone moving to town and all the
Right. I'm
bachelorette
sorry.
parties.
Guilty. Apologies. I
It's a
know.
great place though, man. And with everybody moving in too, it's been the real what's one of the cool things is all the incredible restaurants and stuff that's
Oh
come to
yeah,
town, because I love good food, and there's a lot of great places to
a
eat now
lot.
that weren't here before.
Right. Anything you want. Exactly. I agree with you. I agree with you, Dustin. And let me ask you about this, about Madness, because
Yeah.
last week, the NCAA tournament ended, right? And you're talking about millions of Americans. I think I saw that one of the highest rated games was 18.1 million people were watching it, and your
Yeah,
song
wow.
prominently displayed during the broadcasts with CBS.
Hmm.
What is that feeling when you know that almost 20 million Americans are getting exposed to your art that way, Dustin?
It, I don't. Most of my songs, we don't really push them to radio because one, it's super expensive, and I'm an independent artist, and we've sort of found our own lane as our sort of, radio is hooking up with events like this, and
Right.
getting a part of a broadcast or a synchronization that way. So it's surreal every time. There's been some incredible moments. I'm a huge basketball fan in general. I grew up playing basketball. I played 1 year in college, actually 2 years and
Nice.
years ago. And to see stuff like, you know especially the NCAA tournament. I think
Yeah.
they
They had
opened
this
the entire
montage.
tournament. Yeah.
They had this montage. Christian Leitner doing the shot with your
Yeah.
song in it. They had Kemba Walker doing that like jumper, like Carmelo
Yeah.
Anthony, and your song. And I'm like researching. I'm like, he's gonna be on our show. Unbelievable.
That's so cool, man. I wish I could I may reach back out to the CBS crew and see if they'll send me a couple of those, because I know there were several, and I only saw it a couple of times. So I'd love to see all the different versions that they did.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Dustin. So yeah, it must be surreal for you. That's great. And your
Absolutely, yeah.
and your last album, Dustin, Modern Alchemy, it was such an outstanding album.
Thank you.
Everyone loved it. I mean, Dangerous, No Mercy, Ruled the World. It was just A plus. There's no other way to say it, really. In fact, it charted, in iTunes like the first week. It was like, top 10 in the
Hmm.
alt chart. Like everyone loved it. Any pressure to follow that one up with this one, Dustin?
Yeah, I think there's always pressure for sure. It took me a lot longer to make this new album, Neon Blood Type. It took me a
Mhm.
lot longer to make this album than it did Modern Alchemy. I think that one was, I was still in sort of much like a flow state, and I was just banging out songs and all felt great. And with this one, I wanted to try some new things. I think Holy Water is representation of that, and there's a couple of other songs on there that are sort of trying some new things.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, there's pressure because I don't want to do exactly the same thing every time, and it's okay. Like the world as far as charts and things like that have all changed so much in this last like 2.5, 3 years anyway.
Unbelievable.
Like
Yeah.
like what's that even going to be like now? People are charting because of TikTok now more than they are
Yes.
because of album sales. So
Yeah. And these
um
old
who
songs too,
knows?
right? From like 20 years ago, the artists are like, making buck in streams from a 20-year-old song.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It's
like,
crazy.
man, yeah, I hear you. Well, absolutely. Well, and Dustin, you briefly touched a little bit on your background, but your background is awesome because, it's not like you've been doing this, since you were like 5 years old, like that kind of thing. Your story, if you don't mind sharing with my audience, it began kind of in 2015, and it was a little bit of
Hmm.
serendipity, right, with that lyric house concept and how some of the musicians that you were working with kind of fell through.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
tell,
We had,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead. I'll let you finish your where
No,
you're
no, no,
going.
no. I guess the question. I mean, that's a loaded question, but I guess the question is, for example, when you were starting that project and the singers fell, was it like at that point like frustrating, like that you didn't know in that specific moment?
Yeah, I think so. But the music industry, it's a constant barrage of a song's not good enough, or it's not right, or the timing's wrong, or whatever. You
Yeah,
kind of grow. And I've been in the music industry since I was a kid as well, so I've had tremendous amount of no's in my life, and I don't
right,
really care about that any
right.
anymore. It's like,
It's
well,
part
that's
of it.
fine.
Hmm.
Yeah, you learn from some of the criticism, but then you're like, you also still have to just believe in what you're doing and keep believing in what you're doing, and you feel like
Yeah,
you have something to offer that's going to mean more than bending to everyone's will all the time. If they tell you no, you don't like that, well,
yeah,
then and you're chasing all of those all the time. So yeah, I think I it was really weird to have a project that I wasn't planning on being the singer to. I hung up being a singer for a long time to being the artist. I loved just sort of more working behind the scenes as a music producer. And as Zayde Wlf kind of accidentally happened for the most part,
yeah.
yeah, it was serendipitous. It was cool. It's cool to be a part of that project and it being like as successful as it is, and what it's done for my family and my extended family has been awesome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Said. But I mean, your music is amazing. We love all that stuff. But in research, what came clear, and you just briefly touched on it, I don't even know if you know how powerful this is that you are giving to your fans and your audience. And you have a big reach,
Mm,
236,000 YouTube subscribers, 1.2 million listeners on Spotify,
mm,
the whole thing. But I think the fact that you're giving that you're like showing with action that if you have a goal
mm-hmm,
and that you're focused on the outcome and that
mm-hmm,
the challenges are just part of the equation, and it
mm-hmm,
actually that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, like
mm,
that this is part
yeah.
of your theme. I think this is one of the greatest things that you're giving. I mean, you're giving your fans, you gave me, you're giving everybody here, so
Oh, thank you so much for saying that.
it's true.
It's humbling in a way, and I'm excited that people have taken it and used it in that way. I get videos from parents, and they've got their 9-year-old son, and he's working on his baseball stance for the year, and he's out hitting balls, or a girl is doing her gymnastics routine to it. There's all of this stuff that people are using it for motivation to get better in whatever they're into, and
Yeah.
that's awesome to be a part of. And I've appreciated from that level as some kid that I don't know, all the way up to athletes that I follow that I look up to
Mm.
also using the songs. To me, those are equal in the same way, and I'm I'm real humbled to be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. I mean, you've been
Yeah.
so generous with your time, but let me ask you, okay, a couple simple questions. Why Saint Wolf? So we can break that down for our audience. Why the Zane Wolf?
Well, yeah, Zayde Wlf was my wife, and I were we had two children, and we were going to have a third child. We had a boy and a girl, and so with the third child, we decided we weren't going to look to see if it was a boy or a girl. We were just
Mhm.
gonna, whatever happened, we were gonna
No
be excited
reveal
about that.
parties and none of that. In lower Broadway color explosions on the Cumberland River.
None of that. Um, so we had to prepare boys and girls' names, and one of the boys' names that I put on the list was Zayde Wlf. My wife was like, "No way! There's no way that's going to happen." I was like, "Babe, it's going to be awesome." Turns out, turns out we had a little girl, and
Okay.
so that name just sort of got thrown in the background. And when I was finishing up some of these songs, and the singer and other people that I wanted to be involved kind of had fallen off. I put, I finished it with my vocal. And when I sent it over to my friend Jessica at Lyric House, I didn't want her to know that it was me. So I was like, I'm going to
Right.
put Zayde Wlf on there. And I sent it to her. And yeah, that's how, that's it.
Amazing.
That's
The
this
rest is history.
weird
Can you
accidental
imagine
thing.
in that office, like, hey, have you guys heard of that Zayde Wulf guy? Oh yeah, yeah, he's super cool. Never heard of him. Like, but everyone's trying to be cool because it's like everyone's blasting it in their office. I love that story.
It's really funny. It's really funny that it turned out that way. So
Wonderful.
in some ways, it is my baby. So it's still a baby that got to be born and
Oh
named
yeah,
that.
it's actually the prodigal son more than a
Yeah,
baby.
kind of, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Sid. Well,
Yeah.
listen, you've been so good with your time. What an album you
Yeah,
released.
absolutely.
What are your plans for the rest of the year? I mean, the album's coming out in May. I mean, people are gonna love it
Hmm.
because every song is a gem. It's well made in every way. What are your plans? Are you gonna tour it? Like, what's going on?
Well, who knows what that landscape is actually going to look like for
Right.
everybody this year still. A couple of things that we are already working on. We have worked on a little bit of live recording here in the studio with a band. And
Nice.
so there's some of that stuff we're going to release on YouTube. There's some a couple versions of Holy Water that we've been working on
Mm,
with video. So there'll be a full performance of that song in a couple of different ways. So that's going to be really cool. So that's the one component that we know right now that we can control.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
All right.
someone's hold on a second here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got to
It's
get
okay.
back to the Zoom window. Someone tried to call
It
my phone and it
it
went like
it
crazy.
happens. It happens. This is the tech world.
Okay. I was like,
Yeah, but
ah, what happened?
I got you. I got you. Okay, so you're taking it kind of like you're not getting too far ahead. See how things develop a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. And I just want to I want to have I've been working so hard on this
Hmm.
and this album. I think there's going to be a lot of time this summer that I'm going to try to chill out in between some of the work,
Yeah.
and just maybe get a tan for once.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be like you coming out, people vaccinated, like we can breathe again, spend some time outside. It's gonna be
Right.
exciting. So,
Yeah, it
and
will.
and your songs, Dustin, they're so good that they organically will just pick up. So that's where this is going. So
I hope
congratulations on a great
so.
album, man.
I hope so. Thanks so much. Yeah, we're working on getting this holy water on a few radio stations and stuff like that. This time would be the first venture we're doing on that, and so we're going to kind of see where that leads us. If that means there's a few performance aspects, then we'll go for that. We just want to make sure the timing is right on those things too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And thanks for the tunes. Thanks for the inspiration to your fans. So with your purpose, and we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's great talking with you and meeting you.
Absolutely. Take care, Dustin.
Okay. Cheers.